Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. This is Dr. Makemba. We welcome you on this platform again. We invite you to engage us on this platform again as we are talking about an interesting subject matter in our pursuit of wisdom. Today we are looking at forgiveness. We are going to be talking about forgiveness, what it is, its role and its importance, and the role it plays in establishing meaningful relationships. Let's first and foremost look at the definition of what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is basically a voluntary process or an intentional process undertaken by a victim, to bring about a change in their attitude or feeling toward an offense that has been committed against them by an offender or a perpetrator. And it also has to involve letting go of the negative emotions that comes, when they think about the offense, emotions of vengefulness and taking revenge and becoming evil. So the victim then let go of all these emotions and then treat the offender or the perpetrator as though they have never done them wrong. That is basically what forgiveness is all about. Now, it is very important that we understand that forgiveness is very important and is key in establishing any meaningful relationship, be it in a marital setting, be it business relationships, be it friendship relationships, even relationships with their children at home. Forgiveness is very key and is a very important, component of developing meaningful relationships. The reality of the matter is we live in a fallen world. We are not perfect. We make mistakes sometimes, not even, knowing that we are making mistakes, perhaps because we don't know better. It is therefore important that we need to, always be willing to forgive. And, forgiveness does not actually has anything to do with the one that offended you. Forgiveness has a lot to do with yourself. When you forgive somebody that have done you wrong, you are the one that get liberated the most. As a matter of fact, like I've said, we live in a fallen world. People sometimes have done you wrong and they don't even realize they've done you wrong. Maybe they've had an attitude toward you. They've said a word that didn't come across, right, and that brought offense to you. It brought offense to your heart, to your emotions, and now you are feeling, offended because of what was said or done to you. And that individual that have said what they've said or have done what they've done to you might not even be seeing anything wrong with that they've done, because maybe they also don't know better. Now, if you go around, carrying a grudge, guess what? You are only imprisoning yourself. Because that individual, wherever they are, they probably have moved on with their life, they are doing whatever they are doing with their life. They are not even thinking about that incident that happened. And if you now are holding a grudge against that person, guess what you are doing to yourself? You are basically locked up in that incident and you're not able to move forward with your life. So it's very important that we learn to forgive. We learn to let go. And when these individuals are in our presence or when we think about what they have done to us, then it becomes easy. We laugh it off. It's as if it never happened. It doesn't hold us back. It doesn't imprison us. It doesn't keep us from growing and moving forward with our lives. That's what forgiveness is all about, You're not doing anybody, a favor when you forgive people. You're actually doing yourself a favor, And holding a grudge is actually very dangerous. And, harboring unforgiveness against other people is very dangerous, because what then you do is it's synonymous with basically, it's like you are drinking poison yourself, hoping the other person dies from it. You understand what I'm trying to say? That's what unforgiveness does to you. You will be the one killing yourself, but in the process, you are killing yourself, hoping the offender dies from, the process. But you will be the one that will be distorted emotionally. You will be taken into, a different zone, a different place. You will be the one that is unable to concentrate, unable to focus, unable to build your life, simply because you're holding a grudge against anybody. So it's time that we learn to forgive those that have done us wrong, And when you forgive people, you forgive and forget. If you tell me you've forgiven somebody, it means that it's gone, it's done and dusted with. You don't talk about it, you don't make reference to it. And if it comes up in a by the way kind of a conversation, it doesn't hurt you, it doesn't produce an emotion of anger and wanting to get even, then you have really forgiven. Sometimes we also tend to lie to ourselves and say, whosoever has done me this and has done me that, has caused me this pain, I have forgiven them. Yes, you find people sometimes they say that, but every time they talk about what happened, that emotion of anger comes up. Now, if you find yourself in that place, you have not really forgiven that person yet. You need to do a self-introspect and examine yourself and really ask yourself, have I forgiven this person concerning what has unfolded? Because if you have truly forgiven that person, it means that when that comes up again, it does not make you angry. You do not feel like you want to get even. You do not feel like you want to go back and dig up all the debts, and put it in that individual's face. That's what forgiveness is all about. Basically, we forget what happened, we move on, and for everybody engaging us on this platform today, I just want you to know that there's no better place than to have that liberty in your emotions, where you go to bed not knowing that you're not holding any grudge against anybody. It gives you sound and good sleep. It gives you that peace of mind. And when you are peaceful, you become productive. And when you are at peace, you are able to function at your very best, optimally. It is these negative emotions sometimes that cloud our world, and we don't end up thinking straight. We are not able to make proper decision. Why? Because our decisions are clouded by negative emotions. And a lot of people, they get destroyed trying to figure out life, yet in the midst of it all, their emotions are so clouded with all the pains and the hurts. I know it's unfair, sometimes we get subjected to all kind of things. People hate us even when we have not done them wrong. And oftentimes also people hate us even when we are actually wanting to do best and just be good to them. In the process, they take that, for granted, and they end up doing things that, cause us pain. It's a fallen world. We can't help it. Humanity is like that sometimes. Even us in our own self, we probably have hurt people without even realizing we're hurting people. So sometimes it's not done intentionally, But all that I want to say is that, it is best we learn to forgive one another. I mean, how many marriages has fallen apart simply because people refuse to forgive each other? How many daughters are not talking to their mothers, for instance, simply because they refuse to forgive each other? How many sons do not have meaningful relationship with their parents, their father, simply because they refuse to forgive each other? So unforgiveness has caused a lot of pain, and forgiveness has caused a lot of healing. So it is time we start thinking about what will bring healing, which is forgiveness. It doesn't do you good or me good holding on to a grudge, harboring unforgiveness over things that were done to me by somebody 10 years ago. Come on. I mean, this is 10 years later and you are still holding on to a pain of 10 years ago. I mean, it's in about time you think about what that pain is doing to you. It's simply keeping you from your own happiness. It's keeping you from discovering the person that you really are born and destined to be. Let it go, and doing the same thing over and over again, hoping to get a different result is madness. You are a lunatic when you keep doing the same things over and over again, hoping to get a different result. If you've been harboring unforgiveness for years after years, hoping that you will get better, you will not get better. In fact, you will get worse. In fact, you will waste a lot of time. And then decades from today, you will look back and you will say to yourself, had I let go of that offense long time ago, I would have been free. So it's about time we think about it. It's about time we put it to practice. It's about time we let go of the offenses of what people have done against us. And press that, restart button again, freshen up, look at life, differently, and let that joy on the inside erupt again. Regain your peace of mind, because you become productive when you are peaceful. You become creative when you are peaceful. You are able to make decisions that will build you up when you are peaceful. I just want to leave these words with you before we go off air. In the Bible, in the book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 14 through 15, the Bible teaches us that if you forgive men of their trespasses, your Father who is in heaven will also forgive you of your trespasses. And then verse 15 goes on to say, if you do not forgive men of their trespasses, your Father who is in heaven will also not forgive you of your trespasses. In other words, simply really put that, if you refuse to forgive others, your own shortcomings won't be forgiven either. But if you learn to let go, your own will also be forgiven. And guess what? There's peace in knowing that, your offenses are forgiven of you. It makes you want to wake up and look forward to the next day. It gives you the peace of mind, that peace, that is above all human understanding, that nobody can explain, and you cannot afford to, lose your peace over anything, because it is your peace, that defines who you become. It's your peace that sustains you, and you live healthy when you are peaceful. This is your brother, Dr. Makemba, saying, it's time to forgive and let go, and forget it even ever happened. Press the restart button again. Start afresh. Become productive with your life. Till we meet again. Ta-ta.